Good evening, everyone. It's Laura. I hope my battery doesn't die while I'm doing this. I wanted to talk a little bit about the secret book of John. Some of the differences in the secret book of John and Christian story. So, one of the things that I think is very important, sorry, I'm distracted. One of the details about the secret book of John that I think is very important to notice is that there's a middleman mentioned. You don't see that in the Bible. In the secret book of John, we see a demiurge. There's no mention of a demiurge. There's mentioning of Yahweh. And a lot of people regard the Old Testament God as being the demiurge. They think that he is actually a false god. Usually people who are kind of more mystical, Gnostic-y type people, view the Old Testament as being basically a testimony that there's more than one God. And that there is one true God, but it's this alien God that we've not seen, and that would be the one who's pretty much referred to all throughout the New Testament by Jesus. I'm still trying to figure out how to use this phone. I haven't really figured it out yet. I'm not doing a very good job of utilizing it for videos, but that's all I have. So sorry about that. So, one thing that is very important to notice is the series of events that take place in order to get mankind manifested into this world. Him being transformed into this physical-like being. Because in the secret book of John, you're giving all of this detailed elaboration about what the divine is, and also all of this detailed events. Or it's kind of hard to explain because really we're talking about things that are happening outside of the realm of time. So, but it's basically what everything is, or what everything is that's going on in the heavens. And at some point, there's this emanation of God called Sophia. And Sophia is wisdom. She literally means wisdom. The word means wisdom. And she decides to have a child, if you want to call it that. She's a characteristic of God. Okay, and she does what's natural to wisdom, and she wants to emanate. She wants to be more of what she is and reflect like every other aspect of what God is. Does this, it emanates. And so she does the same thing, but the reason why her little experiment doesn't really come out right is because she doesn't consort her male counterpart. So when she creates this being, she realizes immediately that he didn't quite come out right. He has her likeness, he has her light, but he doesn't have her likeness. And basically what that means is he has her power. He has this wonderful divine power, but he doesn't have this divine will, this loving, good-intentioned, full of perfect knowledge and ever knowing everything. It's kind of like if you don't have all of the ingredients to bake a cake, your cake's not going to come out right. Which is the result of what happened to him, and it's also the result of what happens to everything else that he tries to emanate, because he's not working with a full deck himself. So when he materializes man, he does all sorts of things that are not in truth. And so Sophia is like constantly trying to rectify the situation by compensating for his shortcomings. And the first thing that she does is she sends this beautiful luminous thing called epinoa, and this actually is Eve. But what it is it's intuition. It's this feminine thing that did not get instilled into Adam when he was being materialized, when he was being manifested into the world, because the demiurge wants to make a man. He's just trying to emanate like everyone else. And man already exists, okay? He's created through the autogenes, or manifested through the autogenes, which is, the image of God. So, actually, we find out later that the autogenes is Jesus. But it wouldn't really be right to call the autogenes Jesus. But that's, in fact, what gets manifested later into Jesus. If you're going to embrace the idea that he ever was in physical form. A lot of Gnostics don't even believe that even happened. They believe that he was always just a spirit and never actually was born through a woman or anything like that. But I don't know why, because, well, I won't get into that. I'll get into that in another video. So, back to the demiurge and what he's done with man. He wants to make a man. Well, I mean, what he does is he's basically taking the image of man and trapping him into physical form. And, but because he is not doing a complete job, she basically, his mother, Sophia, sends epinoa so that he'll be a full being. So he'll have this, so she puts it inside of him so that he, it's hidden, because she knows that all of the demiurges, his little creatures and things that he's created, his little demons, they'll see it and, just rip them apart, because, none of them really have this. They're all a result of the demiurge, so they're incomplete. They would be jealous, which is kind of the result of the parting of man and woman, because she gets stripped out of him, and so what happens is when she's ripped out of him, then he's hollow and without her, and then this demiurge creates a flesh body for her so that she can exist outside of him. But then they're in ignorance again, because they're parted from each other. They're not supposed to be parted from each other. That's the main difference, I think, with this story, is that, one, there's a middleman, and two, that it is, it's suggesting that man and woman were never supposed to be really man and woman. That, we're not supposed to be, we should be one. There should be no separation. And it would also explain why people desperately need to be married and why they need to have sex to feel normal. It's kind of like heroin. It's not like they want to have sex to get a high. It is a high, especially if you've been lonely for a long time. Then yeah, of course it would be a rush. But then it levels out, and then you're pretty well grounded. If you're in a good relationship and things are working out the way they're supposed to, you would feel very normal. And probably because that's really how you're supposed to be in the first place. But the Bible doesn't suggest that. The Bible makes it sound like Eve was created out of thin air. She was created from a rib from Adam, and before she never even existed. Okay, this is a big deal, because in the secret book of John, the reason why Eve exists is not because, you know, she's been pulled out of Adam, but because she came from, you know, she came from before already. So this is suggesting that she's always been. She's always been just as much as Adam's always been. Neither one of them are brand new and just created. They've always been. They've always been because the divine has always been, and that's what they come from. They've simply been manifested into this level of existence. Both of them. And the reason why Eve came later is because originally when Adam was created, he wasn't created with everything he needed. Well, the Bible is kind of saying the same thing. But because it's so ambiguous, it never actually, it kind of leads you to believe that, you know, God wouldn't have pulled that rib out of Adam. There just would be no Eve. There would just be a man, and there would be no women existing. So the essential elements or aspects or characteristics or whatever you want to call it that she stems from are not mentioned in the Bible. But if you look at the secret book of John, they are. If you think about it, that has a strong ability to change our perspective of what man and woman are. Well, it has the ability to also change or influence our attitudes towards women. Because if you're thinking that she was just created out of thin air and then she did this really terrible thing with the apple and all that stuff, then she's just a little troublemaker that is never kept in line. But if you look at her more from the secret book of John perspective, you would have amazing respect for her, because she's actually what makes everything complete, and without her there is no balance. And to be honest, that concept rides smoothly, far more smoothly, with what we do know, even from a scientific level, about the basic and fundamental laws of the universe. And it's not that the Bible contradicts it, it's just that the Bible is so freaking ambiguous. And there are so many things that it doesn't mention. And it's almost as if it conveniently doesn't mention them so that it leaves a door open for all sorts of distorted ideas. And the powers that be can use it to their advantage. I'm afraid that that's probably what's happened. So, anyway, I just wanted to mention some of those ideas, and everyone can ponder it a little bit and comment till your heart's content. That's all I have to say for the night. I hope everybody has a good evening, and I wish you guys peace and blessings. Good night.